Hello everyone, thanks for joining me. Today we'll be seeing which RainWing queen would be best for her tribe. From what we know from Glory's book, each RainWing queen was mostly terrible, except for Glory. But what would happen if Glory did not win the queen's challenges? Using any information we find in the novels, we can deduct who would have been the best queen for the RainWings. To preface the discussion, this is a hypothetical scenario where Glory does not win against the other queens. This is because we already know that she would be the best queen. This discussion is mostly just speculation of who would be a good queen among the worst. Now let's look at our contestants. We have Dazzling, Magnificent, Grandeur, Exquisite, and Fruit Bat. Unfortunately, we cannot include Splendor because she has so little book time to establish her role in the queen rotation. Let's break down each dragon, looking at their strengths and weaknesses. We would also need to look at what each of them offered to their tribe. We can begin with Dazzling. We're given little information about Dazzling. During her rotation, we know that she grants anything to her subjects depending on how much tribute they give to her. On paper, this sounds like it would be a good tactic. The queen gets what she wants, mostly fruit, and the subjects' wishes are granted. However, this can go downhill fast. Dazzling loves fruit, and no doubt there is an abundance of fruit in the rainforest. Because the offering she accepts is mostly fruit, it prompts her citizens to only gather fruit so she can heed their issues. This means that the dragons who gather the most fruit would make them in control of the queen's actions. Ultimately, this also reveals Dazzling's greatest flaw. She can be easily influenced. These dragons can easily exploit the power by setting up harvest trees of several fruits. They could inspire greed and misuse of Dazzling's rules. Who knows, by the time Dazzling is in her 6th month, the entire rainforest could be turned into a farming plot instead of it naturally growing among the trees. This can be amended, however. Perhaps adding a limited number of requests per month would suffice. These requests would also have to be reasonable. They simply can't have an entire plot of land just because a dragon donated 30 oranges. Something along the lines of having a sleeping quarters repaired, or an expedition for a rare plant. But then, what strength does Dazzling possess then? In the books, we are only told about how Dazzling deals with her subjects. This makes finding her strengths a bit difficult. Pushing away the potential exploitation, the tribute system can infer that she cares about her citizens slightly. Dazzling could have easily had fruit sent to her without any sort of reward, but she didn't. Unlike Fruit Bat and Exquisite, Dazzling reciprocates the reward to her subjects. Although a queen should be helping their subjects no matter how much fruit they bear, it's better than not giving anything at all. This isn't a great start, but it's not the worst by far. Now how about Magnificent? We see her talk to several dragons every day in the queen's treehouse. Magnificent grants anything to her subjects as long as it's not hard. She would also prefer it if she didn't have to do anything. Mostly the problems she has to solve are trivial, which probably explains why she is so carefree about her tribe. When Mangrove talks about Orchid being missing for 3 weeks, she easily dismisses the problem. This was probably a byproduct of having to deal with so many simple issues around the village. Her situation handling does not excuse her avoiding the biggest issues in her tribe. Despite how dire the situation is, the queen should address each issue fairly. We do see her make decisions, even if it's not in everyone's best interest. Because she has a leading role, she knows not everyone can be satisfied. Other than her quick bargaining, she doesn't have any clear redeemable features about her being queen. There is one moment between Magnificent and Glory that could possibly make her an okay queen. When Glory challenges Magnificent to be queen, Glory immediately has thoughts about battling Magnificent. This kind of bloodthirsty behavior is not like a RainWing at all. Unlike Glory's battle-driven stance, Magnificent offers Glory a spot in the queen's rotation instead of a violent approach. The RainWing's way of life is one of peace, where violence and war is mute. Ultimately, it makes sense why Magnificent didn't want Glory to be queen. A massive shift in behavior would cause so much confusion and hardships for the tribe. We even see this when Glory attempts to militarize the RainWings against the Nightwings. No one knew how to use their venom for violence. An argument can be made here, however. In a world filled with war, a peaceful tribe that cannot defend themselves effectively can be decimated instantly. Without Glory's guidance and Starflight's reconnaissance, the Nightwings would have swept through the rainforest and wiped out the RainWings altogether. So that's Magnificent. Let's see how Grandeur fares. Before I begin, I'm going to remove all biases because I know that Grandeur is Glory's grandmother or grandaunt. From what we are told, Grandeur is an extremely strict queen. She only allows 1 hour in a single day of the week for dragons to highlight the concerns. Now, at a first glance, this is very bad. Having very little cohesion and communication with the tribe is not great. In fact, this action, or lack thereof, could easily be mistaken as laziness. I'm not ready to say that Grandeur is the worst though. Let's get the bigger picture. We know that Grandeur is the eldest queen. She is one of the last remaining royal RainWings in the kingdom. From appearance alone, we are shown that she's been alive for a long time. Because the RainWings have been secluded from other tribes, there would be a lack of development, both in their citizens and laws. This is seen when Handsome recites the old ways of challenging a queen. Dragons coming up to her 24/7, announcing the same problems over and over will cause some mental toll, especially over several years. It would make sense to have a short window to discuss RainWing issues. It makes emergencies more crucial and makes simple problems insignificant. It ensures that RainWings with real issues will actually get the treatment they need, rather than a RainWing missing a hammock. Over the course of many years, Grandeur would grow tired of the same issues. Ultimately, this does mean that Grandeur has the most experience when it comes to leading a tribe. Her experience is evident when she helps free the RainWings from the Nightwing prisons. Being an experienced queen means that Grandeur would have had to deal with numerous kinds of issues. This would mean that she would need to be flexible, dealing with the problems that require different approaches. When Glory asks for volunteers to be the first dragons through the Nightwing portal, Grandeur is one of the first dragons to volunteer. The instant battle-ready response would be a positive aspect in a world full of war. Grandeur would just need to train her citizens to be like her to have an effective tribe. Like I said before, not communicating with your tribe is not the best way to go. Many things can happen throughout a week, and only having one window throughout that long period can have detrimental effects. For instance, a food shortage or missing dragons. Grandeur cannot be sitting idly while these issues occur. If these issues were not brought up during the 1 hour window, then it would be swept under the rug entirely. It could mean the fall of the RainWing tribe. And that was Grandeur. But how about Exquisite? In terms of Exquisite, it is very clear that she is known for having several pet sloths. On the surface, it's rather innocent and arguably a bit useless. A queen that cares more for her pets than her subjects isn't exactly a good sign of an effective leader. Exquisite's care for pets does reveal one thing though. She's fairly capable of compassion. However, if that passion were to be replicated for her subjects, then she'd be an amazing queen. However, none of her citizens are sloths. This means that she has misplaced loyalty. Her loyalty should really be with her subjects and not her sloths. Her compassion is not the only quality about her though. Her notoriety with sloths somehow allowed her to communicate with them. When Jambu races Exquisite, she pre-places her sloths for them to drop a net when Jambu goes under them. Now, I'm quite certain that sloths cannot speak dragon, but Exquisite was able to train them to perform for her. That's honestly an incredible feat. If Exquisite's aspiration was to breed sloths that could obey orders, that would make for an interesting result. Similar to how we train our dogs, cats, and birds tricks, that could hypothetically work with sloths. Who knows? Maybe Exquisite is on the frontier of sloth servants. Just as long as there's a mutual agreement and no exploitation of either party. I'm not sure how practical that would be, but it's certainly an interesting choice. And finally, we have Fruit Bat. Fruit Bat is an interesting pick. In the novel, we learn that Fruit Bat's aspiration has nothing to do with her citizens, but rather herself. Long story short, the reason why she wanted the throne is to use the royal gardens to find a fragrance. That fragrance would allow her to smell like a flower. On the surface, it seems that Fruit Bat has no proper qualities to be a queen. What could this mean for the tribe? Well, not much if Fruit Bat decides to use these scents on herself. Hypothetically, Fruit Bat could use these fragrances for commercial purposes. I don't know where there would be a market for scents during a war. It's a possibility, but it may not be likely. There is a chance that there could be camouflage scents, being able to smell like an environment instead of releasing body odors. Being able to trade these with warring tribes could result in protection for the RainWings. Unfortunately, this is all hypothetical, so it's uncertain that Fruit Bat would be a good queen. There are some negative aspects about Fruit Bat on top of her lack of aspirations for her tribe. We learn that after her month, she leaves the royal garden in a mess for other dragons to clean up. Now that all the queens have been considered, it's time to pick the best choice. From our analysis, Fruit Bat would be the worst queen to rule the tribe. Fruit Bat's only good aspects can only come out when she decides that her scents could be used commercially. However, the way she's focused on personal gain highly suggests that Fruit Bat cannot be fit to be leading as a queen. The niche product itself cannot be justified for her to be in power. Fourth place would belong to Exquisite. Similar to Fruit Bat, the training of sloths to be servants is very niche. Exquisite is capable of compassion, but it is misplaced on her pets rather than her subjects. A queen should really consider her tribe before focusing on other projects. In third place, we have Magnificent. Although she can deal with RainWing problems daily, the way she disregards the disappearance of RainWings is unacceptable. Despite Magnificent's push to remain a purely peaceful tribe, the idea is dwarfed by the threat of invasion from neighboring tribes. This threat is even more apparent with the Nightwings. It is really hard to rank Dazzling and Grandeur. This next ranking will be up to personal preference, because these two could have potential to be queen. On one hand, Grandeur wouldn't be the best queen because of her lack of communication with her tribe. But because Dazzling could be easily exploited by her own subjects, my vote would have to go to Grandeur as the best queen for the RainWings. Honestly, either spot could have been taken by Dazzling or Grandeur, but I would vote for Grandeur as the absolute RainWing queen. So there we have it. Who would you have chosen to be queen among these 5? I really want to hear your opinions in the comments. Subscribe for more Wings of Fire, and as always, thanks for listening and have a good one.